Hello, KGB.
Hi.
Hello.
First of all, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. I recently watched a documentary on Netflix about Nina Simone, and that kind of inspired this question, this first question. She had stated that you can't help it. An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. And so I'm wondering, do any of you feel that at all when you create or perform music, or both?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know myself personally. I try to learn songs that I think still hold up some meaning for today. Like, there's a couple of Woody Guthrie tunes that I do that he wrote back in the 30s and 40s, and it's still stuff that's still the same stuff that's going on today. It's crazy. I don't think it's so much of a conscious decision to reflect the times as it's just happening to us. So that's the things that we're going to write about and sing about or draw about or whatever, you know?
When we're playing our instrumental music, not necessarily, I mean, it's tough to say an instrumental piece reflects something specific, but I can say that everything we've written, everything that's come out of our heads is inspired by maybe not a specific event or something, but it is definitely coming from what we're feeling and the kind of headspace we're in as we're writing it. So I guess you could say it reflects what's happening around us for sure.
When you are making your own music and creating your own pieces, what is your creative process currently? Like, do you jam and then be like, hey, this sounds good, let's record that? Or do you sometimes have lyrics and you think, hey, maybe I'd like to put a melody to this? Or is there a process?
I think there's a bunch of different processes to write a song. Like, I have times where I just think of a cool chord progression or a little riff. I just record that onto my phone or into my computer or something like that, and I just put it away for another day. And I do the same thing with lyrics, where I'll write down some words that I was thinking about one day, and then a few times a year I sit down and I listen to some of the recordings that I've made, and I look at my lyrics at the same time, and I'll be like, oh, these two could work together, and then I'll bring it to the band or myself or whatever, and try to work it out and make it work. What do you guys do creatively?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the Discavus instrumental stuff is concerned, it's mostly a lot of chasing of sounds. Personally, I'm driven creatively by the sounds that are happening, so I'm constantly looking for a different effect or a different something to just change the way my guitar feels in my hands. And then every time I find something new, you play for a little while, whether it be an afternoon or a week. And, for me, that sound ends up having its own melody or its own chord, or, I find something that just sounds right for what I'm hearing. And then I'll take that idea, whether it be, an 8-note phrase or if it's a whole chord progression, to the band. And we kind of just play over it, and I'll play it a little bit. They'll jump in with drum and bass and just kind of see what they hear. And it really is just kind of, this is what's in my head. I'm going to play it, and then the other two guys jump right in, and it becomes something that the three of us create, as a whole, as opposed to something that one of us has definitively written.
Without sounding cliche, that sounds super organic and very cool. But to people that are just listening that maybe don't know much about the KGB, you used the name Discavus. Could you maybe just explain, in case anybody that's tuning in doesn't know what Discavus is? It might seem kind of weird that you just brought that up.
Oh, yeah,
in your
sorry.
answer.
I guess, so Fitz and myself and the bass player of KGB, Josh Lefebvre, are a jazz fusion trio by the name of Discavus, and that's something we've been doing for a while. Fitz and I we're on year three, yeah, three and a half, something like that. Josh is a fairly new addition to the band. The band's gone through quite a bit of changes. I started it with a college buddy back in 2013 or 14, and so the band's kind of grown since then, with members coming and going, but always based around the idea of that instrumental jazz fusion rooted as you're saying, organic sound and just, what we create in the moment. And so in having that band, we all quickly realized there was no money in that, because no one wants to book, at least not in our local markets and the places we need to get started in. It was very tough. And so we kind of went with the mindset of, well, we can do our stuff on the side and let's go find a bunch of guys with good music who want to be the front man to get us gigs. So we started that adventure, and Fitz was hooked in with a guy named Chris Collette, and that got us involved with him, and we became Chris Collette and Damn It All.
Damn It All.
Damn It All. And then from that, we ended up working with a handful of people here and there, like some one-off gigs, some attempts at more regular stuff, some hit-or-miss stuff. And, through that kind of mindset, we got into the same circle as Krishna. As it happened, he had a show. His band he had at the time wasn't available. And he said, well, why not? You guys are playing with everybody else. And so we played a couple shows together. And I think from there, Krishna can weigh in on this too, but at least for us on the Discavus side of things and myself personally, it all just kind of slotted together very organically. It felt comfortable. It felt really nice playing with Krishna and with Bobby as well, who's also part of the band. And, we've kind of run with it since then.
Yeah, I agree with that. And from my perspective, it was really nice that you guys were already locked in as a band together. So having you guys learn my material was, it was a lot easier to work with that versus 5 people sitting in a room that haven't really played together before. It was, there was some familiarity there and very, very smooth to play with you guys.
I would think you also maybe don't have to worry about chemistry being a problem between 3 people that you kind of know that those guys already have chemistry, and that's why they're playing together.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So where, who, and or what does the KGB draw their inspiration from when choosing songs to cover, playing, and performing music?
Well, some of my favorite bands are like be Pink Floyd, the Allman Brothers, the Wood Brothers, Dawes, and I go all over the map genre-wise, but I try to when I go to choose covers, I try to play the songs that I really connect with and really like, even if they're not that popular, and I try to bring what I love to the public, and I found a lot of success in that. Especially with bands like Dawes and the Wood Brothers, where they have all these great songs, but they're much bigger than us, but they're not on the top 40 hits or anything. You're not going to hear them on the radio as much. And I feel like a lot of Rutland was introduced to these bands, not entirely by me, but I think I helped with that a lot. Where I see a lot of people think that they're my own songs, which was kind of cool, but I can't take credit for them.
Yeah, it was definitely a wake up call when we all started playing together, and it's like, you wrote this one, right? And he's like, no, this is this person's song. And I think Fitzy too could say the same thing, but I went into it thinking Krishna had a lot more originals than he did. He's got a lot of originals. The amount of material we learned for this band is quite crazy compared to a lot of the other stuff we're doing, but it's all great material, and it all fits really well together. And as you said, the chemistry is really important, and I think what made it click so fast, at least for me personally, was that I think our brains are kind of all locked into a similar vibe. We all have a lot of the same opinions on things, and so when Krishna, is essentially he's telling all these stories and, speaking about his life experiences, but there's a lot of times when his story and his life, directly mirrors kind of our lives and our world. So it makes playing the music a lot more fun, and it makes playing the music more honest, which really helps.
Yes. That's
interesting. Just as I am a newer at playing music, so it's cool to hear that. So this is like a fantasy question, but maybe not a fantasy. Maybe he's putting it out into the universe. But if you could open up for any artist, who would it be? If the KGB could be an opening band for whoever. That's a loaded question.
That's a
Sorry.
very loaded question.
Is that like alive or
So
dead?
many choices.
Yeah, right. I think that has to be live and touring currently
Live
because
and
we want to
touring
throw this
currently.
out as a hope, right?
I mean, baby.
I think for
Yes.
me personally, the way we play in the style we fit in, I think it would accomplish a very big step for the band and a very personal goal for me to be able to share the stage with like the Tedeschi Trucks band.
I was
yeah.
literally about to say the same thing.
You know,
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
What Derek Trucks and Susan Tedeschi do, I think, is the epitome of what we all want to
Yeah.
do.
Yes.
It's a very
Yeah.
heartwarming
You know, yeah, they
sound.
mean everything they say. They have a band full of people who could have a band in their own right, and most of their band members do. I mean, it's a 13-person lineup that every single person in that band deserves a solo album. And I think that's the kind of band we strive to be.
Yeah,
You know,
and I think one of my favorite things about that band too is actually they are married, but it's the perfect marriage between singing, which I love to do, and jamming and playing guitar and being instrumental. They go hand in hand very well. They work well together, and like I don't think I could ever choose one or the other. And I would love to have that vibe going.
That's interesting. I know so very little about them, so thank you for inspiring me to maybe do some more research.
Oh yeah, check them out. They're great.
And this is my last question, and this is also kind of personal, I guess, I kind of thought of it. What is the best wholehearted advice that you could give other musicians right now, whatever their skill level is, right now? What would you to maybe ease some uncertainty that a lot of uncertainty that we all have? But just musically speaking.
It's one of those things where, like, you kind of got to keep going with a dream, you know?
Yep.
Because it doesn't always have to be a dream. It could be a goal, and it can be something that you achieve. And it's something that Wayne Gretzky always said, as weird to, pull a hockey reference out.
Hey.
But you miss
Richard
100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, I mean, the moral of the story right now is the best advice we can give anybody is don't stop.
Yep. Yeah.
You
Keep
know?
playing, especially in crazy times like these. People are starved for music, and maybe there's not so much money in it right now, or there's no gigs to be had at the moment in most of the places. But it's still something. You as an artist, you need to do it. You need to play music. There's something in you that dies a little bit if you're not. So you need to do it for yourself. And then there's so many people out there that can't go see live music right now. They can't go to their local bars. They can't go to shows. They want to hear it. There's something different about live music than just putting on an album or something. And I think people, they need to feel that. And the only way they can is if anybody and all skill levels are continuing to do that and provide that for them.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, we need music more now than we do when things are normal. Because you're going to see now is the time when people like the Woody Guthries come out of the woodwork, and you find the storytellers and the people who can really capture what the people are feeling. And they're not doing it for money, because like we're saying, there is no money in it right now. We're all facing basically being jobless, unemployed as musicians. But the more music we make, the more we can bring people together. And as long as we're bringing people together, I think we'll get through whatever gets thrown at us, and we'll be able to make it to the other side, whatever that is. So yeah, now more than ever, play music, whether you're sitting at home at a desk live streaming with a ukulele, or you're able to come do things like this and get shows produced. Whatever you can do it. Contribute. Keep the art alive. That's at the end of the day when all the material shit is gone and we've got nothing left. I mean, we can still sing. We can still play. So absolutely, keep playing.
It's 7 in the morning. I like my coffee hot. It's a 40-minute drive.